ago, I put out a flyer on your door. Mine was the purple one. Should tell you a little bit about me and who I am, my experience, but just short, a little bit about me. I grew up in Villa Hills. My mom and dad were Janice and Don Yost. We lived over here on Buttermilk, right in front of the Tears Dairy, and went to Dixie, graduated from Dixie. I went to college in Tennessee, and when it was time to come home and take care of my parents and start a family, we moved back to Villa Hills. And Villa Hills was the only place that we even considered buying a house. This is a place that I love, I grew up in, that I wanted to raise my family in. I am, currently I'm a registered nurse. My background is in psychiatry. I'm a psychiatric registered nurse. I currently work in home health. I've worked before at UC, both at the university, at Children's Hospital, and at University Hospital. But psychiatric disorders are kind of my thing. Before becoming a psychiatric nurse, I've been a counselor. I've had my master's in counseling since 95, 97. Graduated the first time in 95, 97, and then for a while, when we were living in Eastern Kentucky for my husband's job before we moved back here to Villa Hills, decided I would start my own business. So I bought a franchise and started a business, and it grew exponentially. No place in our little town could even hold my little franchise. I had to build my own strip mall and start my own little strip mall that I built there. I've since sold both of those off when we moved back up here to Villa Hills. But during that time, I was identified as, through the Small Business Development District there in Eastern Kentucky, I was identified as one of the top young entrepreneurs in Eastern Kentucky. And I also was identified as, through the University of Kentucky, for their Kentucky Entrepreneurial Coaches Institute. And what that was about is I had the opportunity to take in a lot of learning about how to start businesses, healthy businesses, help people grow them. And then I had the opportunity to work with people in my community. Everything from farmers to t-shirt makers, everything you can think of, making widgets and lumber things, to be able to help people in our community grow our community, make our community a better place. Because Eastern Kentucky, we had such an issue with poverty there that they were really trying to do. They used some of the tobacco money to start this. So I had the opportunity to do that as well. Other ways I've served in my community, Governor Fletcher appointed me to the Medical Licensing Board in 2006, and I served on the Athletic Trainer Certification Board. So I also served in that way on a statewide level. Let's see. Things that I think that could perceived as a negative about me is I have not ever been elected to any type of office before. But I think that can be a positive. I'm kind of a clean slate. I have all kinds of degrees, associates, 2 bachelor's, a master's degree. But why I say that to you is that I feel like I'm a good learner. I can take information in, I like to learn, I like to kind of find out different parts of the story, put it all together and try and go forward with something. So I feel like me not having a lot of political experience in our area is a good thing, and that I'm kind of a clean slate and can go forward from here. So one thing that I am staunch about is I'm a positive person. I don't see any benefit in going into the past and doing negative things in anybody else's life, much less mine. One thing I say to my patients all the time is, it doesn't do any good going backwards. You can go forwards. It doesn't do any good looking at the past and the mistakes or anything bad about any other person. You got to go forward and be positive from here. And that's just part of who I am. And that's what I want to do with Villa Hills. I'll be honest with you, a lot of you know a whole lot more about the past and the history and some of the successes and the not so positive things. And I don't. And honestly, I don't want to know about all of them. I really want to be positive going forward from here. And that's really one of my goals as we go forward. I see a lot of really good things going on in Villa Hills right now. One of the things that I really see good is...
5 more minutes.
Okay. One of the things that I really see good, and I'll give you my personal experience from it, is how our police department is shaping up right now. And like I said before, I don't have any desire to say anything negative about anybody. And I want to talk about a policing style. When my daughter started River Ridge, we always have to take the kids into the school, and I noticed this dark car in the corner. And at first I couldn't tell if anyone was in there, then I realized it was a man sitting in the car, and I actually called the police department and said, I'm really concerned that there's a guy sitting there watching all these kids, and I'm really concerned that someone is spying on our children. And I was told that it wasn't a creeper, it was our police sitting there watching our children, which is fine. But then when we fast forward to the beginning of school this year, there were 2 police officers there. Both of them were out of their cars, directing traffic, directing pedestrians, saying hi to the kids, being positive, and I was really impressed by that. 2 weeks later, my daughter's in Girl Scouts. I took her to Girl Scouts. I see Chief Allen in the school saying hello to the kids, talking to the Cub Scouts, being visible, and that's the kind of police department I want. One that I don't have to try and convince my kids that, these are really the good guys. They're out there, they can see that they're the good guys, they're helping people, and they're being positive themselves. So that's the kind of policing style that I'm pleased with and that I'm seeing in Mill Hills, and that I think is a good thing that I want to see continue. So that's just a little bit about kind of some of the things or one thing that I see that I think is headed in the right direction in Mill Hills. Other things that I want to continue to see happen in Mill Hills that are positive is still family type of activity. Like, the haunted trails that's coming up, things that are great for my community. When I grew up, I was a runner at the turkey shoots. I loved going to those turkey shoots with my mom and dad and getting to spend all day and eat that bean soup, and it was just so good, and I really enjoyed it. And those are wonderful memories that I have growing up in Mill Hills that I want to have with my kids, with my family too. Things that I know that I need to grow on, and things that's another concern of mine, is the streets. I want to see improvements on the streets. I know this week, I think they're supposed to start doing a lot more work on Dalewood. I live on Wesley, so I'm directly impacted with that particular area, and that's something that really concerns me about our city and wanting to see that improved more. So, I'm going to look at my notes because see if there's anything I wanted to else that I wanted to do.
You have 2 more minutes.
Okay. That's pretty much what I wanted to communicate to you all. And then, I really want to see my vision for Villa Hills is that we are just such a fantastic community. We see people growing. We see more community involvement. We see people want to be involved in the community. And people like me that maybe don't have a lot of experience can be an active person and role in our community. So that's where I am.
You want to take a couple of questions? Or
Okay?
anybody?
Yes.
Are there any changes you'd like to see with the present Villa Hills council and mayor, or what role do you see you play?
Well, one of the things I'd like to see happen is I would like to get elected. And I'd like to, I say that I think there's a lot of good things
1 minute.
that can happen. I think our election that we're getting ready to come upon is a very interesting one. With 4 mayoral candidates, boy, anything can happen. And my biggest thing is I want to see people working together. I know many of you will know that there's 5 of us that are kind of working together. And one thing that when I campaign with folks, I say I'm not running against anyone. I'm running with a lot of other really good people that want to work together. So.
You got about 30 seconds, but I do have a question.
Okay.
With the amount of money that's been spent on attorney fees and whatever, and then they spent $20,000 on the rigging part, my question is, if you're elected, they don't have any kind of bathroom porta potties up there. What would be your, how would you handle that type of situation?
That's a good question, because I've been up there, I've taken my children up there, it's close enough to my home when I've gone up there. I think we need to address, a parking issue, because I know when I went up there, there was no real great place to park either, where I was going. That's something I think that does need to be addressed. You'd mentioned like attorney fees, and I'll tell you, I don't know a lot about them, but I do know running a business, there's a lot of fees, like attorney fees, that sometimes are just uncontrollable. And I know in a city, you've got people that, you've got tax liens against houses, you've got to involve lawyers, you've got, ordinances you make, you've got to make sure that they're legal and that they're on the up and up and you're not going to have problems. There's a lot of inevitable costs. I know there have been more for, this past council and things that were potentially brought on, but I also know that unfortunately legal fees are a necessary evil. Not that lawyers are bad, but it's just, to operate a business, particularly one like our city, is going to take legal fees. It's going to take those kinds of different fees and responsibilities.
How long have you lived in Middle Hills?
Well, I lived in Villa Hills from the time I was born until I went to college.
Yeah.
And then my husband and I moved back to Villa Hills in 2006. So we've been back since 2006. My daughter was born here in October. And then we bought our house in Wesley 4 years ago. So we lived on Buttermilk for 4 years and then Wesley 4 years.
And I did not get one of your flyers. Did you bring me
Oh,
with
no, I
with
did
you?
not. I'm sorry.
No, your time's up.
Okay.
Thanks, Rod. Appreciate you coming. We'll let you go so you can go to your other meeting.
Will you write your address on the bottom and I'll bring one by your house?
Hi, my name is David Hilford, and I'm running for City Council here in Villa Hills. And I'm kind of going to start at the bottom and work my way up on this piece of paper that I passed out there, right? This is my profile that you'll also see, or at least some part of it, in the Kent County Recorder when they put the picture and the profile of all the candidates in their upcoming issue. My wife and my son, we've been in Villa Hills here for 32 years, and I have been on the Planning and Zoning Commission, Kent County Planning and Zoning Commission. I am presently your commissioner. I was first appointed by Mayor Cunningham. I don't know if there's anybody here who can remember that far back.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Bud Cunningham first appointed me to the Kent County, what was at that time the Kent County and Municipal Planning and Zoning Commission. Now it's just the Kent County Planning Commission. Okay, every mayor since Mr. Cunningham has reappointed me to the commission. So I am easily the most senior member of the commission. In the 25 years that I've been on the commission, I have seen ordinances from virtually all 19 governmental entities within Kent County. And when I say that, a lot of people are surprised, but there are 19 separate governmental entities within the county. I have seen some of the worst, and I've seen some of the best. I'm used to public meetings. I am used to making decisions. When push comes to shove, at the end of the evidence, you have to make a decision. I'm used to making those types of decisions. I have a knowledge of the subdivision regulations, which directly affect the streets, the sidewalks, the flow at the hydrant, and many of the other conditions that are associated with the subdivisions that are presently in existence in Villa Hills and future subdivisions. I was involved with the 20-year plan for the county, and involved with the 5-year update 4 times when we went through that. And finally, as I said, I made recommendations on all zoning ordinances and map amendments to every governmental entity in the county during these last 25 years. I attended Morehead State University, where I received a master's in continuing education. I went to Transylvania University, where I received an undergraduate degree in mathematics. And when I decided to leave teaching, I went to Northern Kentucky State University to get an associate's degree in data processing, or what they now call IT. Okay, I was a professional teacher at Cincinnati Public Schools in their School for Disruptive Youth. I was also a teacher at the Frenchburg Center for Boys, which is run by the Kentucky Youth Authority. It's a minimum security institution for boys. And finally, I also taught in Fayette County, where I was the only full-time adult education teacher in the county. The last 31 years I have spent with Cincinnati Bell Telephone, Cincinnati Bell Information Systems, and then it merged or kind of morphed into Convergence. During that time, I've been a senior manager, and I have, unlike a lot of the people who are running for office, I had real-time experience managing people. I had 50 to 60 people reported to me from 3 different states and Hyderabad, India. I have the experience, for what it's worth, of actually managing people, of knowing what management problems and what management techniques are necessary in order to get things done. Finally, let me see. I tend to agree with Jennifer in this respect. I see I see positive things with the police department. I see very, very positive things with the police department. And I am looking forward to going forward. I would prefer not to relive and redig up and everything that's gone over the last 5 or 6 years. And I would prefer us to move forward as a city. I think there's a lot of good opportunity. I think we have a number of people with open minds who are running for office. And I really do feel strongly that we can really make things better. I guess that's the best way to do it. Now, I'm available. I think I'll save these last 5 minutes for questions. If anybody has any questions for me on any topic, I'm more than willing to respond. Yes?
What year did Mayor Cunningham appoint you to the
It was the Kent County Municipal Planning and Zoning Commission at the time, and it was in 1988. So, yes.
It seems to be a kind of a common theme, the moving forward part, and yet there's still a lot of pending things that are kind of uncomfortable, such as spiking fees and different lawsuits that are still pending and so on. So while it's not comfortable to delve into the past, don't you think there's still a lot of undone business that needs to be addressed, and how would you address that?
The spiking fee, by the way, do you all know what spiking is? Yeah. Okay. I'll take a few minutes and try to explain. Spiking was first invented by some of our sister counties in the eastern, southeastern part of the state. What happened is, if you underpay your employees, what happens is when they get to be about 58 or 60 years old, and you look at them and say, well, how are they going to retire? Because we've never paid them an honest wage for the last 15 or 20 years. So now they say, I'll tell you what, we'll double their salary for the last 4 or 5 years that they work for us. And then, by the way, all the rest of the state that pays into the retirement system will have to pick it up because it's your best 5 years. And that's what's called spiking, okay? Where a person is at the end of their career, okay? And all of a sudden, miraculously, okay, their salary increases twice, okay? And so what happens is we all end up picking up the tab for this type of behavior. So the Kentucky retirement system said, look, anybody who has more than a 10% increase in pay over the last 5 years of their employment has to have good cause, or has to show good cause for this. And as a result, what's happened is, otherwise, we're not going to recognize that extra pay for retirement purposes. And that's what spiking is. Okay? So, is it a good thing? Well, it's probably a good thing that the retirement system recognized that they were being had,
2 minutes.
okay? And are doing something about it. Anything else? Yes?
Touch on something that Jennifer Vaden brought up, and since you talked about the police department also. She evidently has lived here a long time, but fails to recognize what our unmarked cruisers look like. When she spotted one in the parking lot of the Villa Hills River Ridge School, I don't see how anyone could not recognize one of our unmarked cars. But she chose to bring that out, and she never talked anything positive about our plaster police department. What are your thoughts about all the good work that Chief Goodnow did with the DARE program and the Shop with the Cop, where we stand on the street collecting money for weeks on end and shopping with the students, which she failed to recognize?
Well, we were actually tossed out of River Ridge for DARE, and the reason why was because their time is so shortly constrained. Is in, I got 1 minute, okay? I think that we're moving forward with the police department. I think the bike patrol is an excellent thing. I think that the auxiliary station at River Ridge is something that exposes our children to it. I liked Shop with a Cop because you want to humanize your police force. You don't want to have them as, you know, the boogeyman or you're something strange or alien to you. And so anything that we can do, I would say I'm all for it. Yeah.
Are you aligning yourself with any other person that's running on the ballot for the city council? And are the mayor?
Well, I'll tell you straight out who Holly Eisenhower is a very close personal friend of mine. I walk my dog with her at least 3 times a week. We both have boxers. We get out there and we walk around. We talk about city. We talk about what we need, we think should be happening to the city. But mostly, she is just a close personal friend. And there is, I mean, nothing is worth throwing a close personal friend under the bus. I'm going to vote for Holly Eisenhower because of our personal relationship. And that doesn't mean that I think all the other 3 guys are just terrible people or anything like that. But Holly's my friend, and I'm going to vote for her.
That's time.
Okay?
That's fair.
Is that fair? Okay. Did anybody not get one of my profiles?